What is going on, folks? This is Jason Hopkins with I Am Jason Hopkins podcast. I Am Jason Hopkins YouTube channel. Just wanted to say hello, make sure everybody's safe. Uh, Thoughts and prayers go out to everyone on the front line. Today's message, since I'm cooped up and being bored, I am going to go over real estate investing for millennials. This is something that I've kind of just not talked about, not done, not pursued. I walked away in like '06 and with my tail behind or in between my legs. So, anyway, this is Jason Hopkins with I Am Jason Hopkins podcast and YouTube channel. Again, we're discussing real estate investing for millennials. This can be used for anyone. It's just I'm looking out for my peeps. I've had people say, am I creating a niche? Am I just trying to use this group? Creating a niche? Yes. Using them? No. Look it up. This boy is a millennial. 1981 to 1996, I think it is. So I'm basically the big brother of all you guys out there that are coming through as millennials, now turning into adults. First things first, when it comes to real estate investing, I'm going to go through a couple strategies that are really awesome. This is a craft that for me, I think I spent about 3 years learning and reading. It is definitely a craft that is never ending. There are books galore. I recommend you start with getting a book a week and kind of going from there. Learn how it works, learn a little bit of the tax code, how that'll benefit you in the long run, and kind of map out your strategy. So first thing, there's 4 things that you need to get going right away. You need to determine your real estate strategy. How are you going to build this portfolio? What is it going to look like? And how is this new legacy going to move on in the future? It's never going to go anywhere. Real estate is literally an awesome market that has been tried and true. It's just hard to kind of get established in right away. But once you get going, it's pretty awesome. You need to determine your financial strategy. How are you going to go about acquiring properties? And that's going to depend on how your strategy is and what your strategy is, what you might need to do. You need to identify a strong real estate market. Are you in one? Is it 30 minutes away? What benefits you as being smart as finding that real estate market? So this is part one of a thing that's never going to be ending. Once you decide, like, hey, you know what, I want to get into real estate, it's a never-ending learning challenge, and it's awesome. Look at it as Monopoly. Look at it as like a game. What's your favorite game out there? This is what wealthy people do. They acquire and do things based on winning a game. And depending on their strategy and how they want to accomplish it, that's what they do. They go after, and every day they wake up, they are visualizing the game and how it can benefit them and for their family. So think about that. Also, what you need to do is start looking right now for a mentor or a real estate group. That's how I started. I found a mentor that I'm going to kind of tell my story. And quite an awesome dude. But again, this is something I've been writing in my book. I will have more details in my book. So I'm going to kind of give you some, but not all the ins and outs. Because literally, since 2005 and 2006, I've been buried and butthurt over my whole real estate experience. So let's rewind. 2002, I had my daughter. They're over there. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I was 21 years old. I didn't know how I was going to pay for anything. I didn't know how I was going to do. I didn't even know how to be a dad. Bottom line. I worked at State Farm. I was shackled to my desk, just inputting claim bullshit. Not a lot of money at the time, but I was looking. I've always been seeking like that answer. Like, what is that answer? There are people out there that have very nice houses. They have very nice cars. Why is it that I'm broke? The family. Why do we not have that? What is the difference? And by asking and kind of looking around and kind of just talking about it, I ran into a guy that was a business owner, and he gave me the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. Forever changed my life. Some people can say it's a fake book. It's not, whatever. I don't care. The principles alone in Rich Dad Poor Dad. If you haven't read that book, start right now. Go to Amazon. I'd be smart if I had it below to where I'd get paid off of it. And that, go to Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, buy the freaking book. How I messed up is that he has a quadrant, and it's the employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor. And your job is to go down below. At that time period, I messed up. I went from an employee to self-employed. So I took the wrong jump. Self-employed is because I was convinced that I was a real estate investor. And what did I do? I went and got my real estate license. Gung-ho, woo! Went every Saturday for like 6 months. I don't know. It was delayed. I mean, it felt like forever. Every Saturday and Sunday, like 9 to 5. Took my classes, took my test, and became a real estate agent. Now, the question was, where do I want to put my license with? Do I just go with a firm? Do I just go out and set in houses on Sundays and wait for people to show up? No, I'm an investor, right? So the big thing in that process I learned on the laws of what an asset is. An asset puts money into your pocket, and the debt takes it out. So a lot of people think their house is an asset. It's my asset. Does it put money in your pocket? No, it takes money out. You pay the bank for that note. It is the bank's asset, not yours, until it's free and clear. 30, 40, even if it ever is. They're pretty smart. They know what they're doing. They get you on what's called home equity line of credits, HELOCs. When you do have equity, they know what equity you have. They're going to market you and say, hey, just in case, you can have a blank check. You can write whenever, but it goes against your mortgage. A second one. So that's when I learned what an asset was. It's something that puts money in your pocket, doesn't take it out. So anyway, I found a mentor. I think at the time he was 68 years old. A man named Furman Tenen. And doing some through the investment groups, he ran a lot of them as far as the real estate investment groups. I started going to those. They met at Damon's, which I don't even think that's a restaurant anymore. And they talked about properties for sale. They talked about current evictions they had. I was like, oh, damn. So if someone had an eviction and why, and they tore their house up, if they're applying for another property, there was another manager there or an owner. They said, they just applied for mine. I'm not taking them. So it was a nice little group of real estate investors coming together, networking, and learning the craft. Long story short, I took him out to lunch and breakfast probably about 8 times and paid for it. Every single time he told me no, because I wanted to be an agent under him. He said, no, you're too young. About the very last time, he goes, how many times are you going to keep on buying me breakfast and lunch? And I know the man can afford it. Very frugal. Very frugal. You wouldn't even tell that he is multi-millions of dollars worth of real estate. He goes, how many times are you going to do this? It's like, I'm just trying to show you I'm persistent. And eventually you're going to take me on and blah, blah, blah. Well, he did. I had a limited 1 year with him. And I was kind of paired up with a younger guy. Well, an older guy to me, but younger. And he controlled a lot of real estate. He didn't own it. He only had pieces and parts of ownership, but he ran the rehab, all the pieces for this business. And I really wanted to be under Furman, which I got to soak up a lot from him. I had learned a lot from the other guy. Was not my mentor, but I got to learn a lot of the ins and outs of them flipping property, them lease optioning property, them land contracting, buy and hold, apartment complexes, how to actually manage property. Because there for a while, I actually had to go and collect rent. So you get to learn that, as finding that mentor. So that's the way I went. Again, I'm telling you that with a daughter and 2 daughters at this time, it was not the smartest thing for me. I will not take it back. It built something inside me that is forever awesome. So what did I do? Jason Hopkins. I'm awesome. I'm ego. I'm edging God out. I make the jump to commercial after my year. There was, I think, 2 local firms here. So the one I went with, he actually inherited the majority of the land out here. So he thought he was hot shit, and he was a developer. So I got to learn a lot of stuff, and it was 100% commission. And I'll never forget, I wanted to look older, so no beard. I actually had hair, slicked it back, looked like an Italian mobster. Suits all the time. Hustled every day. Hustled. Went into the office. Hustled. He surrounded himself with men that's where I learned a lot of the stuff from. And what that was, there was a old man that had a lot of strip centers in town and in Columbus, and the cutest 83-year-old man. And I'll never forget, he was telling me a story when he used to have a car dealership. This was like in the 50s. And he had a great weekend where they sold like 3 cars back in the day. And when he went home, his wife was super excited. They wanted to get some dinner and have someone watch the kids. And he goes, I can't. She goes, what'd you do with the money? He goes, I bought a duplex. That's the mind frame difference of a business owner and that. And boy, he told me, he said that was about as pissed off as she's ever been. And he'll always remember that moment. He has since passed on. But a man that now has, or through the family, has not 1 strip center, not 2, like probably 7 to 10. He also had a couple other guys in the office. One guy sold the business for $35 million. Another one was allegedly worth like 500. Very frugal, very good learning experience. When they come out, he says, hey, you want to see my new car I bought? I'm like 23 at the time. What does this guy got? It was a used Cadillac DeVille. I was like, what? I'm lost here. But anyway, it was a great learning experience. I'm not going into how I faltered and fell out of that strategy. That is in my book, and that's a deep part of how that crumbled and where it was really rough. But anyway, that was my real estate career, getting into it. So the whole time into it, I'm buying, I'm lease optioning, I'm flipping, I'm doing a lot of stuff just to get through, and I'm doing it without a real estate strategy or without a financial plan that goes with that. And financial plan, sorry, for real estate. I'm not talking about individual like those people don't understand. They want your money to put it in stocks and bonds, and they want to make money off every transaction they do. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about a wealth financial plan for real estate, not a RIT, real estate investment trust. I'm going to go over that in a minute. I'm talking about you using your money, you being the CEO of what you're doing and putting it in there. So I had none of that. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was learning. No one taught me. My family did not do any of this stuff. And I was learning and trying to build trust through these people. And really, you're just a pawn in their little game. In the book, I'll go over that. But that commercial broker taught me a really, really good lesson. Broke me for the fact that it's been, 2006. I haven't talked or done any real estate. Brainstorming through this COVID, I'm literally going to, when I get out and done and we're all this, that's a piece of me, and I'm coming back out, and I'm going to start buying up real estate. I know how to do it creatively. It's just been a soft spot in my heart. That was one of the very first things that really ruined my relationship with my now ex-wife, and I can't take it back. Can't take it back at all. I wish you understand what I was trying to do, but putting up with me and going through that process, I totally understand where she's coming from. But anyway, that is something that he taught me, and I'm going to forever keep. In the book, I go through every single detail. But for now, this is Real Estate Investor for the Millennials. We're going to go over a couple of basic ways. Reason why this is part 1 and being brief with it, because it's so intense. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of things that dive into how to, when to, the market, the appraisals, your team. It's overwhelming, but it's actually worth it. So these are the types for beginners. So you have buy and hold for long term. So hopefully you're taking notes. Buy and hold for long term. You purchase a piece of property, you live in it, you go to buy a new house. Instead of using that and rolling it over to the next one, you rent it out. You hold on for the long run. Very simple. Another one is traditional rental properties. These are just going to be like small, fairly like 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, priced very, very low as far as for your budget that you can get going, and is actually a very affordable rental. And that's something that you need to look at through the market. So a 4-bedroom, $200,000 house that you buy or you want to sit there and rent out, you got a very, very slim market for who's going to be able to rent that for the price, especially the price of your mortgage. You got to weigh that out. That's going to be for a professional that's high end that for some reason doesn't have the credit or needs to rent a house temporarily. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not your traditional rental property. Your traditional rental property is I think the average rent in Ohio is like $750, I think. And it depends on cities. You have to look at it. Some cities are $1,200. I'm not saying that. That's the market plays into it. That's your research. That's where you need to dive in and see where you're at. So for here, $750. So that means if my mortgage is $900 a month, and my house compared to other rentals is the same as them and they're renting for $750, we're a little messed up there. So you got to figure out what the traditional is and how to buy it and get into it. Another thing is, this was not even a thing back in 2005, is the Airbnb rentals. I would do a lot more looking into this. This is something I'm not going to do yet. Never say never, but there's a lot of strict laws with the Airbnb that you're not going to have with a regular rental. And typically you're written out for the weekend, the week, whatever. So just think of that. Not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying this is new and I'm not specialized in it. So I'm not going to tell you a damn thing about Airbnb, but it is something that's newer. You can buy it, you can flip it, you can rehab it and turn it into that. That's fine. You just, again, it comes down to your profit and loss. Where are you at? Where do you want to be? Doesn't make sense with the numbers. It's very simple. It's very simple math. That's what real estate is. Very, very simple math. You don't have to make it harder than what it is. A fun thing is the BRRR, which is buy, rehab, rent, and refinance. So what that means is you're going to buy it at a good price. You're going to rehab it, put some money into it. You're going to rent it out. After it's been rented for a month or whatever, you can go back to the bank and refinance it at a lower rate or wherever you're at and pull the money out and move that to the next one, whatever that may be. And it depends on your philosophy, your financial plan. This is where I'm talking. When you get out, start meeting people, millennials, get out there, start talking to them. I met a cop that his retirement plan was just flipping houses. That's it. And he put every single ounce of money in it to where he didn't have to pay his bank and the bank fees. So he paid cash for the house. He rehabbed it, and then he flipped it. When he flipped it, he got 100% of that money. Then he went on to the next one, and so on and so on and so on. He just kept on doing that. That's all he kept on doing. So that's a good process. This is something that I'm going to get into here very soon. And I'm looking at different things. And now I'm starting to just look at the property and see what they have. I'm not buying right now. A year or two, probably. But this is what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. It's called house hacking. Sounds very illegal and crazy, but basically it's you find a duplex, a triplex, a quad. You purchase it, live in one, and be the landlord for the other ones. Make sure everything goes well. They're helping you out, pay your mortgage. You're living in that one. You're not throwing money away, and you're not throwing money away to this apartment owner or whatever. So it's called house hacking. I would definitely look in that. And for some of you guys, if it's a first-time homeowner, look into the laws, but FHA actually lets you get a first-time homeowner on up to a fourplex. Could have changed. Check with your mortgage guy. But that's something to really look into, because what if it's just a duplex? Well, hot damn. Now you got a duplex and you got the other side, and those are your tenants. I don't want to live beside my tenants. Don't tell me you own the damn property. Just tell me you manage it. I mean, serious. You don't have to make things difficult. You're like, well, I don't want to be right beside them. Well, you've been living in an apartment for who knows how long. Someone else has been making money off of you. Your money is their asset, and now you want a house and do that? Okay, well, I mean, you have to find your strategy. Another thing is fix and flip pure rehab. That's basically like I was saying with the buy rent rehab. I guess I got ahead of myself. Sorry about that. The buy rehab rent, that wasn't the cop. He basically just did exactly this. He fixed them, he flipped them, and sold them. And you see that on TV shows. It's been all famous, and everybody wants to do that. Again, weigh the numbers out. It's simple math. Profit and loss. How much are you putting into it? How much is it worth? How much is it worth after you've done your renovations? Very simple. It's very awesome. And when you get a team together, they can tell you exactly what you need to do and how to do it. So that's another topic on how to build your team. But this is the basics. You need to start looking into how to start your career and your business in real estate. And there's wholesale. Very simple. You buy them. There's short sales. There's people that ran out on foreclosures. You're dealing with the banks. They're usually not really neglected, but they're 20 to 30 to 40% cheaper than what the market is, and they just need, the bank needs out from it. So it's called a short sale, but basically you're wholesaling. You're buying it at that, may do some minor fixes up here's and there's, but then you just turn around and flip it. And then you have the boring one, which is a RIT, Real Estate Investment Trust. That is your financial planner. You have no management control, and the shares you invest in, but you don't invest yourself. You're just kind of putting money in there for a steady return. No different than a bond. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not as fun. The game is just not fun. If you have tons of money that you've been inherited as a millennial, then that's an option to go. It's just not fun. You want to sit there and go in and find that chase, track it down, put your signs up. You see them everywhere. We buy houses cash. Bullshit. They don't buy a house. What they're doing is creating a lead. They put these little flimsy signs up. We buy houses cash. We buy ugly houses. I'm sure you've seen that. That's actually a franchise that spun off into basically that's all they do. You never know what you're going to get on those calls. And I've done that. You have people that are backed up, that are flipped upside down, that are getting ready to ruin their credit and they need help and bailed out. So those are some options you can get into and leverage a lot better than the stock market. You can leverage a $100,000 house with putting $10,000 down. That asset is potentially worth $100,000. So with appreciation, depending on the market, that's going to go up. The leverage in real estate is never going to go anywhere. When they say the market goes down, you see people going in to buy. So there's never a bad time. Oh, the real estate market's bad. Well, what happens? So say the rates go up. How does that benefit you as an investor? Your renters come back to you. So now they're going to be renting because rates are sky high. Rates go low. What does that mean? You can buy a lot cheaper. You can actually refinance on the debt you do have and increase your cash flow. So it's very, very simple. It's just a process of learning. And this is stuff that would have been so awesome if they taught this in school, in high school, and went and just showed you all the ins and outs. And nowadays they're all gurus and they have $5,000 classes in that. To be totally honest, I've spent a lot of money on those classes. So this is part one. We can dive into creative real estate, how to buy a property with $1. I've done that. I'm not going to divulge into that, but I've done it, and I got a real big head and made some money. But I can't wait to get back into this. I'm sad and just, timing. I ran away from it because, like I said, it'll be in my book. It was a really rough time, and I got butthurt pretty bad. And now, that was the best lesson I could have. Anyway, shoot me a line. Send me a message. Please subscribe. Share this. I'm building a millennial army. That sounds pretty cool, actually. Of business owners and creators and real estate investors. And I'm just sharing what I enjoy and what's passionate in my life. And this is the start. Real estate investing, part 1 for beginners. Send me messages. DM me. Hey, man, what's this? What's that? Do it while I'm available. because right now this is the launch of this new channel, and I don't know where I'll be in a month. I don't know what I'll be doing, how I'll be doing. I don't know what book deals I'm going to have. I'm being optimistic, but one day I might not be available. So if you're reading this, or not reading it, if you're listening to this, I want you to send me a message, send me a question, do whatever you want. But anyway, this is I am Jason Hopkins, and this was real estate investing for the millennials. And like I said, I am your big brother. 1981 was the first year. So the 96, I'm your big brother. I've been there, I've done that. Learn through my failures, because I call them challenges. So anyway, I'm out. Please share this. Please freaking subscribe. I'm out.